Hi, Steve here. Welcome to this video showing you how Lay the Draw bot works. Now this bot has been specifically set up for soccer or football and gives you a few different scenarios that you can do if you want to follow a game, and essentially we're looking at Lay the Draw, which is probably one of the most written and talked about strategies in the game of soccer. Now before we go too far into it, there's a few things that must tell you. With this bot, it only works on what they call the main wallet from Betfair, and yes, it only works on Betfair. So basically any games that are in the main wallet will be able to be played and traded on Lay the Draw. Obviously the underlying question is making sure that there's enough money in the game so that you can trade it successfully. The game we've just got on the screen here at the moment is Manchester City and Newcastle, and we can see there that there's 73,000 in the pool, and we've still got the best part of 14 hours before this game starts. So this is obviously going to be a game that you could play if you wanted to, although looking at Man City there at 133 and the draw at 6, it's not a game that you would really want to get involved in, but more about that a little bit later on. So but let's have a look at the settings and that you can use on this Lay the Draw bot. The good thing with it is obviously you can set it up, leave it running, and go about and do what you want to. Now if you were just going to lay the draw and that was it, well, of course you could just go into Betfair, lay the draw, and forget about the game. But what we've got here with this bot is it gives you some more alternatives. So let's just start at the very beginning where it says stake. Now we can put 5 in here, and it will bet 5 dollars, pounds, euros to whatever settings that we make here. Alternatively, if we were liability staking, we could click this box and it would only bet to a liability of 5, so it means all we could lose, worst scenario, would be 5 if we had the liability box ticked. But if we have the stake box ticked and laying, well, we can obviously lose more than 5 in this game if things went totally wrong. The next thing, we have time to bet in seconds. So if you wanted to bet, say, 10 minutes before the game, you would put in 600, which is 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes. Money matched. Now, minimum money matched, this is at the 10-minute mark, seeing we're saying the bot will look at 10 minutes before the start of the game. If we put in 5,000, it will be 5,000. Must be 5,000 in the pool of your currency. So if you're in euros, if you're in US dollars, in my case Australian dollars or pounds, that would mean it would have to be 5,000 pounds, 5,000 dollars, 5,000 euros. If the game at the 10-minute mark had less than that amount in the pool, then the bet would not be actioned. The reason we put this in here is that you want a game that's got liquidity so that you can trade out of the strategy. If it's a game like, if we go into some of these other games, let me find one here. That's obviously a lot more than, but some of the lesser known games, and we can see all the games for today are over here, but if we go into some of the games, you can see on that game there, there's 600 Australian dollars, or about 400 pounds invested in this game. So we know that it's going to be a pretty tricky game. So if that was the amount of money in the pool come 10 minutes to go, this game would not get bet. Okay, so basically that's what minimum money matched. So what amount you want to put in there is entirely up to you. Now the percentage profit of the stake. Now this is, the bot will work to the profit of the stake that you want. Say we're using a £5 or $5 stake. If I put in there, let's make it easy, if I put in there 50% profit, that would mean 50% of that stake there. So when the game had $2.50 or £2.50 profit in it, the bot will trade out of it. If it's possible to trade out of it, it will trade out of it then, and you'll secure yourself a $2.50 profit. Now in order for that to happen, obviously the draw has to go, say in this case it's 4.6, the draw would have to be out around 7, something like that, in order for you to stake the profit in that. Percentage of loss, if the bet is going against you, you can put in, say, for example, 80% loss. That means you'd be prepared to lose £4 or $4 of your stake. If it got down that low, then the bot would trade out of it. If you did not have don't place a back bet, if you had that there, that would override this loss stake here, and it would also override the profit stake. That would mean if you had that ticked, this would just place the lay bet, providing that there was enough money in the game, and that would be it. It wouldn't action anything else. Okay, so we'll just untick that for the minute. Okay, minimum place lay. Now you can leave that blank, but you may, for example, say, well, you're not going to bet any game where the draw is less than 3. And maximum, you might say, well, I don't want anything over 6, because that, if it's over 6, then you're obviously one side's going to be heavily favoured, and if that side doesn't score first, well, then the draw price is not going to go out, because everyone's going to expect the favoured team to do it again. Then we have here the minimum back. Now you can leave these 4 columns blank if you want to, but the minimum back you can put in there, and this is the maximum back. You should always have about 1,000, because you want it, if you're trading out and it jumps to 100, well, it means you're not going to bet very much to cover your stake and make your profit. Now the thing with this bot is it can bet under the Betfair minimums, but keeping in mind when that happens, it's actually laying multiple bets in order to get the bet accepted. So if a goal is scored while it's trying to trade out of it, you may get caught in between. So where possible, always bet above the Betfair minimum to stop that from happening. Okay, now if we were only going to, this settings we've got here is perfect now if we just wanted to let it run and lay the draw and then trade out of it. This is the settings you would need to do here. Now if we go over to the right hand side here, we've just talked about don't place a back bet. You can see that it blanks out these, so you can't use this option. So that will only lay, as I said, that will only lay the bet for the draw, and that is it. It will not trade out of it. If you wanted to trade out of it, you'd have to manually go into your Betfair account and trade out of it later. Okay, all things too, once you push, if we go over, once we push the start button, these settings are locked in. If you change these settings after this start button is on, then these settings, any settings you change will not take place. Okay, so we'll just stop it. Okay, so keep that in mind. The settings are will only be actioned before you push the start button. Okay, so if we undo that, we may say we may want to place a back bet at a certain time in the game. If we do that, we click allow timer, and then in here we place the minutes. If we were going, now the minutes that we place in here, if it's in the first half, I mean, you can put in 40, whatever you want. But if it's something you want actioned in the second half, you must add 15 minutes to the time, because the timer will automatically keep running right through half time. So if the game, if you want it in the second half, say halfway through the second half, then it's no point putting in, say, like 60 minutes, because what will happen is we have the 45 minutes to half time, then 15 minutes for the half time, that equals 60 minutes. So if we had that bet would actually get action just about as soon as they came back on the field for the second half. So you would really need that to be something like 85, for example, and that back bet would take place at let's 15 off that, at about 20 minutes into the second half. Then that bet would be actioned. Okay, if you wanted to use this. Okay, we'll just untick that. Now the next thing here is, in the game that you're covering, you might want to place a bet on correct score at 0-0. So you can put that in there, and then you can say, oh, you want to cover the liability because we've got a draw here. Say for example, if we've got $5 stake, say say the draw was 4, so we laid it for, so that would be, we would have a 15, so that would be like the 3 plus the 5. We would have a £15 or dollar liability in this game at present. Now, if we wanted to bet on the correct score at 0-0, we can put in the percentage. So if we put in 50% here, this would mean that our bet on 0-0 would cover 50% of our $15 or £15. So if the score stayed at 0-0, we would actually, instead of losing the £15 or euros, we would only lose $7.50 because this bet on the correct score at 0-0 would recover 50% of our liability. Now you can put in the minimum price for the 0-0 and the maximum price that you want, or you can just leave it blank and it will place the bet at the 10-minute mark before the game starts. You're controlling when the bot will start by this box up here. No need to use this if you don't want to. You can uncheck it, and it won't use any of these here if you don't want to. Okay, but if you've got your settings here, and then over here are all the games that are in the next 24 hours. Okay, we can see if we click on some, this is a women's game here, you can see if we look here, there's no money in that game at the present, but we're still over 11 hours away from that game. So basically what you do in order to get the games you want, for example, is you click on them first to view it, and then if you want to go ahead, so let's go to some of the English games. A look at this one here, Tottenham and Brighton. We click on it and it brings up the odds in that here. It tells us there's nearly $70,000 in the pool, and here's the odds currently. So we can see Tottenham's pretty short there, so you may not want to have a bet in that game. It's up to you. But whatever games you pick, they will all bet to the settings that you have got. So you can't have one game where you don't want to place a back bet, and then one game where you do want to place a back bet. All the games that you put in, once you've done the settings, all games will respond to the setting. Okay, so if we get down into a game that, for example, here's a game which is reasonably even. We can see there the draws at 3.65. Now if we want that game, that's this game here, we just double click on it and you can see now the game is here. And this selected market box, this is the games that will be bet by the bot. Okay, so any games we put in there, for example, these games now will be bet to these instructions that we've given here. Okay, once we have our games that we want to bet on, we push the start button and that's it. Now we need to leave the bot running. We can just minimize it. I run mine on a VPS virtual server, so, being in Australia, it's easier for me. Well, if you're in Australia, you can't bet in play, so you cannot use the later draw bot. But if you want to use a virtual server, I use one in the UK, costs about £17 a month, then you can use this bot. But if you are in Australia, unfortunately, if you don't want to use a virtual server or a IP blocking software, then you can't use this bot. So that's it. That shows you how to set it up, and that's what the bot will do. Now what will happen is the bot will wait till 10 minutes before this game and it will action it, and same again with this one here. Okay, and it will action it to that, and it will follow the game all the way through, and when these figures here are met, the triggers will happen, and hopefully we will make a profit. So this way here we can lay the draw without following the game and have confidence that it will bet to the instructions, just as if we were following it. Also we have here the current bets. This will show the current bets that only the bot is making, and the results will be here, and this will tell us how we're going profit wise. Okay, so thanks for watching this overview on how Lay the Draw bot is set up and how it works, and I hope that you find it a useful little software to have in your betting arsenal. On behalf of Michael, the creator of the bot, and myself, Steve Davidson, thanks for your time today, and we hope, as I said, that you find merit in it. Thank you.